I am graduating soon in October, so I've officially completed all my program requirements, hoping to find work soon. I was part of the ACF chapter at McMaster University, and I was also the communications leader there, so yeah.
So our topic for today is effective communication. Both Vivian and I, we've had a chance to experience what it's like to reach out to others through social media for our chapters. So that's kind of the topic that we're going to be going through today. But before we jump into it, let's just bow our heads for a quick word of prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we just want to thank you so much for allowing us to come as a church family and as ACF members and students to worship you on a Sabbath day like today. As we get into our message, I pray that you really bless the words that are being spoken today and let us effectively communicate how we can teach others to effectively communicate towards their community and reach others for your kingdom. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen. Okay, so who here is currently in an ACF chapter and holds a communications role, per se? You? One? Okay, that's okay. Two? Going to. Okay, that's fine. So at least some of us are going to eventually step into this type of role, so this is beneficial for you, hopefully. And I'm sure all of us here utilizes social media, correct? Yeah, okay. So hopefully this workshop will teach you how to effectively communicate through social media and through graphic design on your various accounts, promoting your ACF clubs. So just to start, your brand may not need to have a presence on every platform. So before you go and start up your MySpace again and whatever, you don't need to have a Facebook, a Twitter, whatever is out there, Instagram, Snapchat. You don't need all of that as long as you know how to, again, effectively communicate, even on just one platform. So that's something to keep in mind. I think that's just a big misconception is the more you have exposure on social media, you can better communicate, which is not actually the case because you can end up neglecting one account. It's hard to kind of divide your time equally between different accounts such as Instagram and Facebook and whatnot. Speaking from experience as well. So in order to better promote your club, try to focus on one specific area and work on that. So with that being said, you want to be specific and intentional with your plan for each platform. And to answer these questions will help you better understand how you can do that. So first off, you can just think about these questions to yourself. Why are you using this platform? Second, who will you reach on this platform? Third, what post types will work better? And four, how are your posts unique? So keep those questions in mind. Hopefully you can kind of start to think upon these things and come up with some ideas. And maybe we'll share some things at the end with each other so we can brainstorm together. Okay. Another big thing is, I'm sure you've heard of this saying before, quality over quantity. So going back again over to that point of you don't need a brand or a presence on every single platform, it's better to focus on the quality of your content rather than the amount of what you're putting out there. And yes, so remember, quality over quantity is very important, and especially if you're just getting started. Focus on what you want to put out there, make sure it's according to what you want and according in line to what your club is promoting, and that should kind of help you get started.
So we have a couple of tips and tricks. These are just things you can start off of and build off of if you're just creating new accounts for your chapters, if you want to get your word out there. So we have a couple, there's 5. So the first one would be identifying your goals. This would be a really big thing. A lot of the times we have a really big goal in mind, we have a really big picture, and it's hard to get there. So for our chapters, we like to set smaller goals and then reach them along the way. And from there, it breaks down, what you want to achieve into smaller steps that are easier to attain. So a really good acronym to remember are SMART goals. I'm sure you've come across it maybe once or twice. So that would be specific with your goals. And also make sure it's measurable and that it's easy to attain. It's not too big for you to kind of go for. You can achieve it. It's also something that's attainable and something that's relevant and something that's timely.
So going on to our second tip, identify your audience. So who are you trying to reach? Are you just trying to reach everyone in your community, just a local group, or are you just trying to reach college students, people in your church? So that's going to help you better understand what type of content you are trying to create, trying to promote. If you have a better understanding of what your audience is like, then you're be able to better relate to them. So for example, if you're just reaching out to your fellow college, your campus, obviously you're going to talk more about school, those type of topics, stress, mental health, things like that. It'll make it easier for you to understand how are you going to connect with these different groups. Does that make sense to you guys? Yeah? Okay. Good.
So the third one, we did touch on this already, but selecting the best platforms. So once you identify your audience, you kind of have an idea, okay, how am I going to reach out to them? How am I going to go about, spreading the word? So again, just from our experience, in terms of best updating people, especially within our age group, like early 20s, getting to their 20s, late teens, we find that Instagram is a really big thing. A couple of years ago, maybe in the 2010s, around there, Facebook was really huge. MySpace was huge at one point, but those have kind of dwindled down over the years. And Instagram is really good in terms of posting posters with the actual, it's going to show up on your feed. But also, if you're doing updates, there's the Instagram stories. So you can just post a quick thing if you need to do it every now and then also at the same time, your audience can see the main things that you're curating on your account.
Yeah. Just to add on to that, if your club is trying to do more video type stuff, obviously you're going to do more on YouTube, right? That's a good thing. Maybe try to do like a weekly video web series on a Bible study, something like that. That would be your best platform, and then you can promote on Facebook, whatever your Facebook page, and things like that. So touching on Instagram as well, we're going to move on to the next point. Be consistent. So platforms like Twitter and IG stories require you to be more consistent with those posts. They require maximal potential from your audience. Obviously post more on those type of platforms. And things like Facebook, there's not much of an urgency. This is just research that we've done. This is nothing that, this is not just something we're just spitting out there. This is just research based on people that have actually studied different social media accounts or websites, things like that. So yeah, Facebook there's not much of an urgency. So if you want to connect better with your audience, definitely post more on Instagram stories. If you want to announce your Friday night meetings, be consistent with that. And a tip for being consistent and kind of keeping yourself accountable is to create a posting schedule. So say you want to post about your Friday night meetings every Monday. Make sure over the weekend you've created your post or whatever, and then on Monday you post it. And then you just be consistent with that. It's very simple, and hopefully that'll keep you going, and then you engage better with your audience.
And the next one.
Oh, question, yes? So do you want to see Instagram posts? Is that what you're saying? Yeah. No. Okay, yes. Yeah. Okay, that's a good question. You don't necessarily need an account to see their posts. You just have to go to if you're using a phone or a laptop or whatever, you just go on Instagram. You type in whatever their account name is, say, for example, Cornerstone. The club that I'm a part of, Instagram.com/Cornerstone ACF. And then the page will pop up, you can view it, interact with it, and yeah, but if you want to comment, things like that, you need an actual account. If you want to like it, you need an actual account. But you can still view the posts, yeah. Yeah, you're welcome.
And for the fifth one, it would be growing your audience. So you've already identified it. You want to keep them in, you want to keep them up to date with your content. So a lot of it would be being engaging on social media. So things like liking other people's posts, commenting back when they reply to you if they have any questions. For me personally, from our ACF club, we found that following other faith-based clubs on your campus can be really crucial in getting your word out to the other clubs and the other people who may not be acquainted with what ACF is. Also, at the same time, you can utilize other clubs to your advantage when it comes to promoting your events. So for things like York's Church on campus, we'd send it over to some of the other clubs, the other faith-based clubs, and they'd actually promote it to their members as well. So that would be a really good thing to do, just building your community.
That's actually a good point, if I can just add to that. On campus, and a goal of ours for our club was trying to connect more with other faith-based groups. So not exactly Adventist, just Adventist communities. We wanted to connect more to other faith-based groups on campus, so like Muslim, whatever, people who worship on Sunday, Baptist, whatever. There's a big church called Lift Church. I don't know if you've heard of it at York, but it's a big thing. So it's a really good opportunity to not only connect to people who are Adventists, but people outside of your faith, because also that's important for us. And also just to develop a deeper connection with people in general. And that's a good way to kind of open up your group to other people so that you can start to get to know other people and more about their faith and their culture. And then eventually maybe you guys can collaborate in the future, do some events together, which is something that we've had a goal of. So.
And yeah, at the same time, you can also go ahead and follow, your churches that are local to you, other members that you know. And what's really helpful for us has been adding the location of your posts, because a lot of times people will go into the location and just kind of scroll and see who's been posting in that area. So a lot of our follows have been from people who don't even know what ACF is, but they just find us through the location tag, or they find us through creating, unique hashtags, or even just using things like hashtag YorkU. People will find it in the hashtag feed or the location feed, and from there, your audience can grow.
Yeah, agreed.
So for social media, both of us have found that there are two key things that we like to touch on. So the first one was be human. It's okay to make mistakes, and it's okay to show, the bad and the good side of things. A lot of the time, social media is the best curated content. It's easy to feel the fear of missing out, FOMO. But with ACF, we strive to show all facets of our life, whether we're stressed with exams, whether we're really happy that an event went well, whether we're really happy that we want to share the word with others. It's always nice to show these are the faces behind our account, and we'll post pictures of who we are. And we're really open and honest with our followers. If you have a testimony, by all means, share it, because human connection is a real thing. It's real and important. And when it comes to sharing that with others and sharing your love for God, it really shows that you're genuine. Yeah. So being human really helps.
Yeah, this is, if anything else you've forgotten, this is a big thing to remember. Be human. Even on our Instagram, most of our posts that have pictures of our faces are the ones we get most likes on. Yeah. And that's usually what I've checked, and that's all we get most likes on. If they see our faces and what we're doing, that's something that they engage with the most. And have you ever heard of Humans of New York? That page, yeah. Obviously, that became a big thing because we start to learn more about people and their stories, because that's what people connect with most. They connect on the fact that we're all just human beings, and we relate to one another. So that's a very big thing to kind of remember.
The next one would be, going off of being human, is just to seek genuine relationships and not just followers. So for example, if there's an account out there with 10,000 followers and the engagement is pretty low, no one's really viewing it or commenting, replying, interacting with it, it may not be an effective page. But you can have an account with, let's say, 25 followers, and all 25 of those people are constantly seeing what you post. That's more valuable in the long run. With social media, obviously followers and following counts and all of that is a big thing. But in terms of ministry, you want to, yes, cater to as many people as possible, but let's say you have 10 people and you reach those 10 people effectively, you're doing your job. Same with, I guess, ministry. Like in terms of evangelism, if you have a lot of people showing up to your event, that's really nice. But at the end of the day, your goal is to impact at least one person. And at the end of the day, if you impact that one person and they have that connection with God, then the work is done and God will do the rest.
So some graphic design resources if you are planning to create some for your club. Some that we have used, I've used most often is Canva. It's a free resource. All of these are free. Adobe Spark, which we'll touch more on, and especially Keynote if you use Mac, and PowerPoint. So as you can see that there's a picture, that's what Canva looks like when you open it. It's a really great resource. You can, I don't know if you can really tell, I can't see the screen up here, but you can create Facebook posts, Instagram posts, you can even create Facebook headers for your events, which I've utilized a lot. So it's a wide range of resources that you can use. And here are some examples that I've created personally for my club. The gray one is the one I've made for our church on campus. It was titled, "I'm Here For You." Pastor In Pyo Hong was actually our speaker that day. So that's what I used. All of this is made on Canva. And yes, it was really cool to see my poster on campus. Even my friends were like, "Oh, Viv, that's your poster." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know." So the second one is a quote that I actually came across maybe on Instagram. Just the quote, the picture I took off, it's a stock image, meaning that it's free and you won't get copyrighted if you use it. And it's just a nice quote that I shared on Instagram, which people actually liked because it says, actually I can't read, so I'm not going to try. So, but yeah, that's a resource that you can use, Canva.
So this would be an example of using Adobe Spark. What's really good about all the resources that we're mentioning is that they're all free. And you can sign up whenever you want. There's no hassle. You don't have to pay if you don't want to, although there are the options to go premium with the plans. We just personally don't. So yeah, like Viv said, she did a church on campus poster, and these are two examples for York. What's really nice about using Adobe Spark as well as Canva, they pre-size all of the posters you want to use. So for this one, it is the poster size. So when you go to like Staples, you go to your printing center, you just say it's the standard poster size, you give them the file, and it'll print out to the size exactly that you want it as. At the same time, like if you're making Facebook banners or Twitter headers, they have those preset dimensions, so like you don't have to hassle and try and crop things and figure out how to size it on your own. So yeah, it's really
It's
good.
definitely newbie, user friendly. Yeah, so it's a great resource to use.
And they might look complicated, but honestly, it's like a pre-made template. Just take out all the default words, add in your own, and the templates, they do look pretty professional. Like you could hang it up around campus and you could be taken seriously as a club.
Yeah, and also on Canva, if you have your own images that you want to use, you can use them. You just upload them, input them, and you're good, which is really great as well.
And also, to be honest, like going into doing marketing for the club and reaching out on social media, I didn't have that graphic design background and I didn't really know what I was doing. So these are two examples of using PowerPoint to make visuals for your club. I'm a Mac user, so this is on Keynote, which is pretty much the same thing. You can just resize the standard slide to a square and just lay on the text like you normally would for a regular PowerPoint presentation, which is, I'm sure, as students, we've come across it a lot. So on the left, York had this event for a meet and greet called Bibles and Boba. So we got bubble tea first, and then we came together and, did Bible study. And then on the right is just a picture of all of us after the devotional was done.
Okay, so now that we've kind of given you all this information, hopefully you've learned from some of it. So for the first question, oh my goodness, it's really small. So well, I'm gonna come down here and see if I can read it. Okay. So if you want, you're open to say your answer. If not, that's fine. So first question, what type of social media platforms does your chapter currently use? What do you guys usually use most often? Instagram? Facebook? Yeah. Does anyone use Instagram more? No, just Nate? Okay. Okay. Well, that's good, yeah. So what do you find, which platforms get the most engagement? Instagram, yeah. That's usually the biggest one, yeah. So what type of content do you guys normally post? Videos, pictures, posters? This is also kind of a brainstorming session too, not just a discussion. So if you have ideas that you want to share so that we can kind of collaborate, feel free. This is the time to do so. So what type of content are you guys have been thinking of? New things that you kind of want to do in your club? Has there anything that you guys have thought about? No? Pardon? Videos. Yeah. What type of videos were you guys trying to? Mm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's actually a good idea. From our research or from my research, I don't know if you came across it. Videos are the most type of posts that get the most engagement. So if you want to do videos, that's a good thing for you. If you have the resource to do it, I encourage you. Yeah, hopefully it works out well for you guys. Okay. So our last question: what goals do you have for your role? What impact do you want to make through social media?
I guess I'll share. Oh, did you have one? Did you want to go? Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. That's creative. So, do you mind if I say it out loud again for those who didn't hear? So, what he said, he hopes to do drive signups to drive people to ACF events if they need it. Yeah, so that's something that they're trying to do just so that they can stay engaged in the events and have access if they don't have transportation. Yeah, that's great.
I guess I'll go. So, in terms of the goals that we have, I guess we kind of discussed it, just being able to reach people that seem unreachable almost. With social media, we have that luxury where you don't have to be beside them, you don't need to know them necessarily, but being able to reach people, all the way in the US, seeing other ACFs follow our ACF clubs from the US is really inspiring, and just being able to bounce off of each other's ideas and kind of share the stories with others who we might necessarily ever meet each other in real life. That's something that I find really rewarding and want to keep up.
A goal that I actually had, since I'm not really in the role anymore, was to kind of create a different picture about Adventism regarding young adults and youth. Because what you hear in the church, young adults are not in the church anymore, and you don't see that. But you see the young adults are active in their school communities, and that's something that I wanted to kind of promote, because a lot of our churches actually don't even know that ACF is a thing or this is going on. So this is a good way for them to understand that there's actually young people who are passionate about doing ministry, and there are people in the field doing these things and having their own ideas of how to reach people and connect with people. So if that's something that you relate to, that's a good step for your ministry as well. So, yeah. Does anyone else have anything they want to share?
Yeah, I guess just another thing, speaking from experience. Before I even knew what ACF was, I actually got a text from Isabella. She's not in the room, but this was before my first year even started, so I had no idea what ACF was at all. And she was like, "Hey, it's Isabella. We're from Adventist Christian Fellowship. If you're interested, you can join our club." And from there, I didn't really know what ACF was at all, so I did a Google search, right? And from there, being able to have those ACF resources, having the websites, having the different Instagram pages, having the different Facebook groups for me to flip through, that definitely was something that encouraged me to join, because I could feel that, hey, there are people who are my age. I may not be the most well-versed in ministry, but with ACF, I could get a chance to do it. So social media was definitely one of the driving forces for me to get out there and push myself out of my comfort zone. So yeah.
If you're feeling a bit kind of uncomfortable or a bit worried about how your content is going to look when you put it out there, I would say don't worry about it. Just put it out there. Let people know that there's actually a community on their campus that they can connect to, because that's the most important thing. If I had no idea ACF existed, I don't even think I'd be standing in front of you right now, to be honest. So it's a really powerful tool that you can, especially for our age group, because that's where we are most active on our phones, on our laptops. So hopefully you have learned something from this workshop that will benefit your ministry and connect with people on your campus. So thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Yeah, we have questions. Yeah. Polls? I haven't used a poll, but I know a lot of other chapters do. I've seen it before. What are you trying to use a poll for? Ah. Do you have experience with using polls?
We haven't been using polls at our ACF chapter, although I have come across instances where people say it's really good to open up, intelligent conversation, and it's kind of like an icebreaker in a sense, where if you have harder topics to talk about, it allows for that conversation to be opened up, and then maybe when you meet as a group, you can expand on it and bounce ideas off each other.
Yeah.
So I think that'd be something that would be cool to play around with.
Mm-hmm. Are you talking about polls on every platform? Mostly stories, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I know on Instagram they also have the question and answer thing where you can post a question. Yeah, that's also a good thing to use. I've used it once or twice, and it's a good way to start a conversation, because it also kind of gives them an opportunity to engage, not to just view your posts. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, if not, that brings us to the end of our workshop. Thank you again so much for listening.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Okay, so thank you guys for listening, and thank you to Viv and Jess. So this concludes the first session of the workshops. So now you're free to go downstairs or remain here if you want to hear a repeat. But you're free to mingle downstairs and see which one you want to go visit next. There's Find the Right Balance with Pastor Hong, and then with Akil, How to Lead Your Chapter. So you can choose between those two, and then if you knock on the door, they'll start finishing up. Okay? Thanks so much.